Cheers. Welcome to Culture Night,
where each week we're reading fancy wine and watch movies that are in some way culturally significant. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Sarah, and we are back for season 7, episode 3, deep into our World War II season. Mm-hmm. Getting excited to keep trudging along.
Closer and closer to modern day with each episode.
Yeah, modern day in movie creation, they all take place in 1940 something.
Yeah, but still closer than our first one, which was...
Yes, the movies themselves are being made more in modern day.
They're all taking place over the same like couple year time period. Yes. Let's start with, what are we drinking this week?
This week we are drinking the 2019 Big Shot from Tobin James. And if you would do us a favor and read on the back what our percentages are, this is a red blend.
It is 44% Syrah, 32% Grenache, 16% Mordevre. Mordevre.
We did look it up one time.
6% Sinsol and 2% quinoa.
Maybe tomorrow when we talk about this wine again tomorrow, we'll just have it like queued up so we can just like play the pronunciation in.
Yes. Anyways, this one says we combined these noble varietals to create a wine that is truly, quote, the Big Shot. I believe we've had this one before, and I'm pretty sure it's got like a pretty good like punchy flavor right on the nose and right on the taste.
And as you can tell, we don't ever actually look up what we've actually had or haven't had or what our scores were before we try it.
I don't think we've had this specific year. We may have, but it's unlikely. But we've had Big Shots before.
I get cinnamon. It smells like the cinnamon from that smoked chicken we made this weekend.
Yeah, I'm honestly not getting too much.
That's about it.
I've ever said that. I think we'll see how it tastes.
I would not say it's a punch you in the mouth kind of flavor, but it is very nice. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's very smooth.
I guess I'm thinking more like Fat Boy is being much more bold. Mm-hmm. This one, it's a lot smoother than I thought. I mean,
it's very pleasant. I don't know what I get right off the bat as far as taste goes, but it's very velvety.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm coming blank on the tasting notes, unfortunately.
It tastes good for now. We'll have better notes after the movie.
As always.
You gotta, I did let it open up a little bit for the, I thought enough in advance to come down and open the bottle. But the more you drink it, the more you taste it, the more flavors you get.
Yes. So speaking of the movie, what movie are we watching tonight?
Tonight, we are watching Schindler's List from 1993.
It is rated R, and let's hop into our time machine back to 1993. Where the top 3 movies that year were Jurassic Park, grossing $415 million, Mrs. Doubtfire, grossing $219 million, and The Fugitive, grossing $183 million. Schindler's List was down at number 9, grossing only $96.8 million.
Only. And 2 of those top 3 movies are movies that we have already watched. Jurassic Park was season 4, episode 6. If you are curious to revisit 1993 classics, you can do that. And The Fugitive was season 1, episode 11.
Yes.
Don't judge those earlier ones. We have a lot better of a format now.
It's been a work in progress format since the beginning. The top 3 songs released in 1983 were I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston, Whoop There It Is by Tag Team, and Can't Help Falling in Love by UB40. All big classics, all big bangers, great songs. Have you seen Schindler's List before?
I have not. Have you seen it before?
I have not, to the best of my knowledge.
Yes. It feels very daunting because I feel like it is something that is like mentioned a lot. Like, Schindler's List. Like, I feel like I've heard the title a lot. So I don't know, I wouldn't say high expectations, but it feels in cultural, the air of the culture.
I would have said the movie was a lot older. I was surprised when this was 93. If you'd like just before tonight made me guess, I would have said 83.
I probably would have said 70.
Yeah. I just thought it was a much older movie. So that kind of shows you just how much I know about this. If I had to guess what it's about, I would say there's probably some sort of maybe...
A list,
if you will. But I guess the question is it a German list of like Jews to help sneak out, or a German list of Jews to like hunt down or something?
Yeah. I
imagine the list is of people. I think it's a safe bet.
I would also guess that as well. I am feeling like it is going to be a real downer of a movie. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there's nothing really light in World War II, but this feels like it is going to be a very heavy one to watch.
I don't think people like this as like a nice casual. What are you doing on Friday? Let's pop in Schindler's List.
Yeah, you watch it to appreciate the atrocities that happened during World War II and to understand, and then you probably only watch it the one time because you have learned it's a heavy one to move on from. So we will see how we find the movie, all of our scores. And with that, I think we will drink some more of this delicious wine, and we will be back in 1,000 hours after Schindler's List is over.
Catch you on the other side.
Cheers.
Welcome back. That was certainly a movie.
We have a lot to talk about, I guess.
I don't want to talk about this.
I know, right?
This was very heavy. For those of you that were expecting this to be, or have seen the movie, it was very heavy, and that was a lot. A long movie, and it was heavy.
Yeah, and just stressful, start to finish.
Speaking of stressful, now I have to remember my spiel for the wine scale.
Go for it.
For a segue there. So our wine scale is a 0 to 10 scale. However, the scale is heavily weighted because all the wine we drink on this show is very good. So
It's very good wine.
Is very good wine. So a low score does not necessarily mean that it is not a good wine because, as I've said, the scale is heavily weighted. That being said, I'm going to rate this wine a 3.2.
I had it at a 4.9.
Mm-hmm. I had high hopes. I feel like big shots are usually really good. I don't know if it was just this 2019.
I was wondering going into it if we think that big shots are good and they're not as good as we think they are. Like if we always are like, oh, they're pretty good, and then we have them and we're like, oh, they're not as great as some other ones.
I feel like it's usually a banger. Fat Boys for sure. Every time banger.
Oh, always. In the slept on it, I'm going to take notes right now that I'm going to look up what we've rated this in the past so we can talk about whether or not this wine is good.
I don't know if that like is why I rated this one so low. Like, again, good wine, way better than box wine, Kirkland brand that we are drinking for this after show. But I would say like a little sour, not too much like depth in the.
It didn't open up as much as I was hoping.
I thought that I just wasn't really getting much last night. This is the second night, by the way. Last night because I had bad heartburn, but overall, just like didn't really open up more. It was just kind of.
Tobin James definitely has some wines that like punch you in the mouth, like really flavorful, really great. This was not one of them.
Right.
And would I drink this over the Kirkland box every single time?
Yeah.
Like even though it's under 5, it is still better than anything that you're going to get that's super cheap at the store.
This would be your like top shelf grocery store wine for sure. But we don't pull bunches here because they're not sponsoring us. If they did sponsor us, I will rate them all a 10. They don't.
Oh, we have to get our laughs in now because it's going to go downhill really quick.
So anyways, now leading into the movie description out of 10. How do you even begin to rate this? For sure, I don't want to. Well, take it back. I kind of want to rewatch it one time, but I need a good 3-year break.
3:30. I'll watch this again when I'm in my 60s.
It was good, but I feel like I also am just drained from it.
Yes. I will go and give my score. I'm going to give this an 8.3.
I feel like I have to reevaluate. So normally my rubric is things along the lines of like how much do you enjoy it, rewatchability, quotability, cultural significance. I feel like
do you want me to explain my 8.3 before you give your score?
No, because I'm still thinking my score. Okay. I'm thinking out loud, and then we'll
okay.
And then I will. The cultural significance for sure. The enjoy in the loose term. I'm glad I've seen it. And it was overall a very compelling story. I don't really want to rewatch it. Not very rewatchable, like we said before. Like not something like, oh, I need to fall asleep. What should I put on? Like, not that. Please, not that. If this is what you fall asleep to, like, please go get help.
100%.
It's very, very, very heavy. I feel like I'm gonna rate this 7.1.
I agree. Like it's. Especially given your standard rubric, it is not. You can't really go off of that for this. I think cultural significance for me was super heavily weighted in this rubric. I also just feel like from a production and cinematic standpoint, like one of my notes, I'll skip to it now, is that this was like very beautifully shot. When like there were some scenes where I was just like, wow, the lighting here, despite the fact that it is black and white, is incredible. It is really weighing in the heaviness of this moment. Like it was very intentional and very well done. And just the like I said, the production, like the cast not just Liam Neeson and Ray Fiennes and whatever. Like there are hundreds, thousands of extras and people that had roles, but like there are tons of people in this movie, and the coordination and just like the acting those people did, who were just background actors, but who were acting something that was just so horribly traumatic. Incredible.
And this must honestly set the record for most nudity in a movie ever. Like
100%.
All of the people at the camps when they had to strip down everything like that. It's brutal.
The number of people
heavy.
that would commit to that.
I'm glad there were no punches pulled, because it's not something where you just want to be like, oh yeah, but there was dignity. There was no dignity there. And that's I don't have words for that. Yeah. I don't have words, man.
We're going to keep talking about it,
so what I was going to say was the cinematography was insane. I think the use of color there, the fact they had like one scene where it was like this red coat by the little girl.
And the flames of the candles at the end. There were 2 colorized things the whole time.
It was very selectively used. I appreciate that they didn't go super Hollywood and have that same girl like several times throughout the movie. That it was very much like we're following the scene. And then you kind of see that, like, despite her thinking that she was like safe and whatnot, like you see that obviously she did not survive. Crazy. And one of my first notes was also the narrow field of view from the very beginning, like one of the first scenes. It just felt very claustrophobic. Like you could tell as soon as the movie started, like obviously switching to black and white, and that like this was so very intentionally shot.
Yeah. And from what this podcast has brought me personally is an appreciation for film and the creation of it, and the like, this is people's like passion. It's not like, oh, I'm going to go to Hollywood and be a star. Like there are a lot of people where like, I see the beauty and the art in this. And this, I feel like, is just like a shining star example of like, we aren't going to make the movie that everybody wants to make. We are going to make a movie that needs to be told, and we are going to do it in a way that is beautiful despite all of the horrendous things we are going to show. Yeah.
But I do appreciate I feel like in the past I would have looked at these things and be like, this is making me uncomfortable. Like just talking about, obviously not all of the atrocities make me uncomfortable, but speaking specifically for the cinematography there of like, oh, I feel really uncomfortable in this scene because it's like in a train station and it's all this stuff going on, but it's deliberate. Like they do that on purpose to make you feel that way. And I do really appreciate that.
Yep. So are you going to, we have to keep chugging along. You need to just jump into the movie description.
Movie description. Before we go to the movie description though, I wanted to say like there was, one thing I appreciated throughout this was this movie is from the early 90s, and I feel like it does not fit the early 90s, like cliche or overacting or overtelling. Like,
with the exception of the fact that John Williams is the composer. That is the
spoiler alert.
That is the only stereotypical 90s thing of this movie.
No, but I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say he's stereotypical 90s. I mean, there's a bunch of 90s, but also 80s, 70s. He's timeless. He's 90 something and still making scores with Steven Spielberg. But the fact that like they didn't overemphasize or make it like too grossly cheesy any of the acting, like towards the end of the final scene, it kind of seemed like it was a bit like of deifying him, like where all the people are crying, he's hugging, and he's like, I gotta save one more person. That a bit, but it didn't feel over the top. Like
but I feel I identified with that. Like, but what if I could have saved one more person,
right,
or 2 more people? Like, I didn't actually write it down, but I was like, that would weigh heavily on me forever. How do I sell this? How do I sell my car? Like, how do I help more people? And I very much appreciate that in the moment in the movie, like you're trying not to get caught. But you're still trying to do the right thing, so you don't want to be like too over the top. But then once the war's over and you realize like, but like how many more people could I've helped? Like, but then their gratification too of like, oh, let me just like hug you and let's pull my silver crowns out to like make something for you. Like, I don't know how you ever
right, but even in that, it didn't go over the top and go into this crazy soliloquy. There was no crazy montage. There was no crazy like all of a sudden someone running out and like him saving some sort of burning orphan from a fire. Like it was very much like the right level of sort, like they didn't overtell the story.
And I think it also helps to give credibility to it that so many people that were there showed up in the movie at the end. That I think speaks volumes too. They were probably weighing in. They were
people
giving
that the actors were characters were based on.
Yeah, I appreciated that for sure.
So anyways, moving into the movie description again, a man, Oscar Schindler, who was a Nazi, and despite my predictions before the show, was not the one hunting down a bunch of Jews.
Thank God.
But was responsible for initially kind of like using them in order to make money based off of the cheap labor, but eventually kind of understood just the atrocities that were going on, and eventually worked to save as many of the workers as possible and bring more into his factory in order to spare them from being sent to worse concentration camps or Auschwitz specifically, and in the end saved thousands of lives.
All right. The description, according to the TV, is the true story of how businessman Oskar Schindler saved over 1,000 Jewish lives from the Nazis while they worked as slaves in his factory during World War II.
That was your easiest description yet.
As I was taking the
First
picture,
of all,
I was
short.
like,
Second of all, there's no.
I was like, I don't know if this is going to be great or terrible, but it was, I think,
perfect. It at least gave one of our favorite things, a modifier to the name. Now, businessman Oskar Schindler, as opposed to like the
suave,
the savvy, business savvy. Like
yeah.
There's something. Yeah, businessman. This was very much like a.
Yes, I will say though, like obviously you have to give a description of what happens in the movie, but I liked going into it not knowing anything about it. For me, this gives too much away. And I attribute most of that to you, for sure. I very much was like, oh, what's this movie about kind of person until recently, where I've really appreciated like blind going into movies. And obviously I knew this was about World War II. I knew it was a very heavy movie. I did know it was black and white, but to like not know, was he going to be a German trying to like hunt specific people down, or was he someone trying to save someone, to like go into it without any of that preconceived notion was much more enjoyable as a viewer.
Yeah, I knew absolutely nothing. It also like made me much more like nervous and skeptical and just anxious for the first bit, trying to kind of feel him out just as everyone else would have, that I appreciated kind of going along for the ride as opposed to this, which kind of would have given the whole thing away.
Yes. So note to viewers, if you don't regularly like blind go into movies, I highly recommend it. I think it gives you it's like we've gotten into this era where we're like, let's show all the funny things in the trailers. Let's show all the main plot points to get people to come in. But when you go in not knowing, it is way more enjoyable. You feel it so much deeper.
Right. And it's a better journey because you're actually surprised at things, or you're not just expecting things, or, hey, I saw something in the movie trailer, so I know like that this person isn't dead because I haven't seen this scene yet, or I know this hasn't happened because I haven't seen this. Like, it's so much better to go in blind.
Yes. I cannot recommend it enough.
Like, if you've not tried it, next movie you're thinking about watching, just go in completely blind, hear a name, and then just, that's it. Watch it. Because then you're also, it's exciting then when you see like a famous actor or a cameo or anything like that. It makes it that much better.
Yes. Don't Google it. Don't look at the Wikipedia page.
Anyway, so I think we just covered what's maybe what you expected. No, clearly based on my prediction.
I mean, yes, in that, like, I mean, you know, it's about World War II. You know, it's going to be heavy. You know, it's going to be long. I knew it was going to be in black and white. I appreciated this one because it was more focused on the Jews and the concentration camps. The first two movies we've watched, two movies we've watched, were like battlefield type movies that focusing on like a different aspect of it, I think has been really nice to like switch, not nice, but like a different perspective on it, I think was really interesting. But I didn't have any true expectations going into it outside of those things. And so it's like a 50-50 for me.
How well did it age?
Well,
yeah.
It's hard. Like, we talk about this every time. It's a period piece. Like, you can't fight facts. And this one is actually based on true stories. So, I mean, I'm sure there are some things that are loosely translated, but
right. But like overall, like I said, it wasn't overacted. Like you kind of think of like 90s movies. The special effects were fine. There was one part where I think there was someone who got shot, and it clearly was a dummy because it like moved like 3 feet when it got shot. Otherwise, it was very the use of those special effects and practical effects was very well done because it just made it that much more raw. And yeah, I don't think there was anything about it.
I did watch a lot of those through covered eyes. It was very hard to watch.
Did they say the title of the movie in the movie?
No, and thank God, because as I was going to say this when you were talking about it being a stereotypical 90s movie, but it didn't say Schindler's List, and I'm really glad that it didn't, because I think
this Schindler's List,
it would have taken away from the actual serious tone of the movie if they had said it, and I'm really glad they didn't. They did get to the list, and you made a joke about it. I mean, it's hard not to, but I'm glad that they did.
Of a list, you saw the list, but they did not look at the camera dead in the eyes and say, "This, dear audience, is Mr. Schindler. Sorry, Herr Schindler's list."
Like, we as audience members can joke about it because you need something in some light in the dark of this, but I do appreciate them not pushing the joke there because yikes, that would have been bad.
Does the rating or does the title fit the movie? Yes.
Yes, it does. Did we go to could this movie be made today?
Oh, could it be made today? Yes, but I wouldn't I wouldn't remake this. I don't see a reason.
Yes, it should not be remade. I know we are in the era of nostalgia and remaking things. Do not like this. I'm glad it was made. I think it was an important story to tell. I think they did it well enough. Leave it.
Honestly, the one thing about could it be made today, I wonder, I just feel like nowadays things have gotten more conservative that I don't know all the nudity for showing the concentration camps, how that would be received today and how if you'd get that many actors to be extras in it.
I agree with that.
I feel like that'd be harder to do.
I am glad it was made in the 90s because
because
I feel like that was, I mean, that's real life. Like that's what happened. And I mean, I've read hundreds of World War II books. I think my brain just can't process how horrible so much of this was that I just keep coming back to this genre and keep reading and watching movies and all the things. And I think like it's because stuff like this happened and it's scary and it needed to be shown to illustrate the point of what this movie was trying to do.
I'm sure what we saw also was just watered down from obviously how atrocious 100%. All these things were. But anyways, yes. Could it be made today? Yes, but please do not remake it. Does the title for the movie, like we said, yes, fits in. They show the list off several times. It's kind of a driving factor behind all of it. I don't know what else you'd want to rename it. I really don't want to brainstorm anymore. No. Does the rating fit the movie?
Is it rated R?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if anything, I think nowadays to be rated even worse than that. It's very.
What is NC-17 worse than R or?
I believe so, which is weird because you think 17 was worse than or less than 18. So like, 18's for R, but. Anyways,
it's a tough watch. It's definitely not something that you watch lightly.
Right.
You have to go into it knowing what you're watching.
It certainly would not have been PG-13, but even if they removed all the nudity and guns, all that, just the overall power of the story for sure. Not for teenagers. Could you make the case it's a Christmas movie? Hell no. Were there any actors that went on to do bigger things?
Yes.
Liam Neeson and Ralph Fiennes.
Yep.
I'm sure Ben Kingsley also early on in his career. It was early on in most people's career at that point, right?
Yes. Have we talked about the maid in Ralph Fiennes' house?
Who was that?
Do you know who she is?
No.
Oh, I've been so desperately hoping you didn't Google this. It's Miss Honey from Matilda. Oh, I'm so glad I saved it. Thank God you didn't Google it. Yes.
Wow.
Oh, it's even better than I thought.
Oh my God. Matilda was like a year later after this, wasn't it?
I don't know what year it came out. I was not a big Matilda person, but I did. She looked so familiar, and I don't know why she was familiar to me and not to you because you've seen it so much more than me.
Wow.
Yep.
I mean,
but like
talk about two troubled backstories, but different. Oh my God. Wow.
Sorry,
okay, did not see that coming.
After the heaviness of this movie, I really needed that kind of reaction from you.
God. I need to see her again because I did not see that coming. Wow.
Yeah.
Not in 1,000 guesses. Wow. Anyways, yeah, like we said, some very young people, seeing them very young.
And I mean, Ralph Fiennes, we as the millennials that we are could not get past the Voldemort of the situation. We've obviously seen him in many things since then, but
seeing the trains, making a Hogwarts Express and Voldemort joke, not the best joke.
Yeah. Not the right timing, but like it's also hard not to being that's how I first was introduced to him was through Harry Potter. So
yeah, but it's fantastic actors.
Yes,
amazing early on in the career. It's crazy seeing them so young. But
I'm very much looking forward to something that I want to look into for our Slept On It is like the awards that like. Was this well received? Like just like what the reception was, did people get the praise that they deserved? The cinematography department, certain actors,
cover that in the Slept On It segment.
That's something I'm really looking forward to looking into because I feel like it deserves a lot.
Yes. What impact do you think the movie had on pop culture? I mean, I hear Schindler's List referenced a lot, obviously with not too much context, given that we didn't know much of what it was about. But I understand why people don't really want to elaborate on it or talk about their fond memories of watching it.
Yep. You make a quick little like reference to the name and you move on because it is hard.
Do you feel cultured after watching it? Yes.
1000%.
Yes.
This is definitely up there of the most.
Yes. Pop cultural, like
cultural,
movies that you
societal,
need to have seen.
yep.
If you've not seen it and you're just watching this because you're crazy, please go watch it.
Stop it. Stop this right now. We don't care about the views
Yes.
or the listens. Please go watch this movie.
Just watch it.
Brace yourself.
But yeah.
And maybe watch it over like at least 2 days.
Mm-hmm. And if you've got a bottle of wine, please drink it while watching it because you're going to need it. Anyways, now that moves us into our notes segment. I don't remember who went first last time.
I would say it was you because I feel like I really wanted to go first on Dirty Dozen.
Okay, go for it.
We do a really good job of keeping track of these things. Okay, so my first note is this is fascinating. And I wrote that last night, and that was the only note that I wrote through the first hour and 20 minutes last night. And I believe that references just like it was really showing a lot that's not normally talked about. Like you hear a lot about the concentration camps, you hear a lot about like Band of Brothers like on the front, that just seeing like the early days of like, okay, now we're starting to move people. Like just like that whole lead up to the terribleness that it got to was very, very interesting. I felt like. Yeah.
So full disclosure, I normally don't look at your notes at all, but I was opening up the doc as we started the second night and saw that was the only note you had and was like, cool, great, detailed, in-depth notes. But I will say while I was watching it, the first like half hour or so, I was like, this could have been a great like short movie, like just a 30-minute like beginning to end type thing. If the movie ended right there, was like, oh, he did this, started out this business, whatever, got caught aiding Jews and got killed, would have been a fascinating story. And the storytelling was something you don't this story you don't hear much at all, at least in America, of telling of the story of World War II. That I agree. Like it was just very, very fascinating to see all that happening. The dread that I felt, knowing literally nothing about the movie, not knowing how anything turned out, all that did not help.
Yes.
But
and just like you were talking about earlier with like going into this movie blind as far as like what actually the story was going to end up being, is like he's building this business, but like seems like he's just in it for the money, and he probably very much was at the time. But then he starts to get to know the people, and just like you see his compassion change from the start of the movie to the end of the movie. And it was a very interesting build, but just seeing like all of that beginning stuff was super, super interesting, especially as we've mentioned, we went to Italy in the last year and we heard some like very personal World War II stories from a guide that we had that it just kind of brought me right back to that of being like, oh, like these events happened like right here where we're standing when we were in Italy, and like knowing that like these similar things happened in Poland and these like certain streets, and it's just haunting, but incredibly interesting.
Yeah. And I think for us like, going in the beginning, me, especially not knowing anything about like what Schindler's List implied, it could have been that he was kind of starting all these things, getting people to incriminate themselves or creating some sort of list that would then be used against them. Like it just was very unsettling and very stressful, because as they didn't trust him, I didn't trust him either. So it was very fascinating and stressful.
Yes.
The first half.
So this was a heavy movie and it was stressful. Those are your two big takeaways. My next note is the closing of the ghetto scene. I kind of retroactively wrote that one in today. We watched that last night because that was just devastating. I mean, I don't know how you put more words into that, like being parents that we are, just like children ripped away from their parents, husbands being ripped away from their wives, parents, like just all of that was just devastating. And I don't really know what more to say about it, but it's just,
it definitely hits different viewing it now, married and having our own kids. If I'd watched this like as a teenager or something, or even like early 20s, it definitely hits different. Like knowing that you have a family of your own, you have no idea what's going to happen at all. Like just absolutely no idea what's going to happen, what to do, where to go, where to hide. If you do hide, are you going to be found? Like literally nothing. It definitely adds a whole level of just terror. And
like the people that did hide, and then they go through and they're listening in the walls with stethoscopes, and just like, I mean, all of that was just nauseating. And like I already mentioned, I watched a lot of this movie behind my eyes because it was just like, you've heard enough, you know it's terrible, that it's just to watch. Obviously it's not real clips, but it's just terrible. And that was just horrible. And I mean, I feel like it needed to be included in this movie and how it was being told, but that was hard. So my next note is the housekeeper at the camp, which is Miss Honey. So I was like, how do I write this so that I remember to talk about it, but I don't give it away. And I'm so glad you didn't know who she was. Okay, my next note is this is so hard to watch. It's just, especially they're in the camps now, and just the random people just shot for just doing nothing. Ray Fiennes standing on his balcony, just like, oh, look, there's this one woman who's just standing there. Like, horrible.
You had to be a sociopath. Like, yeah. I mean, obviously we all know Nazis are bad. Just insane though to see that in practice, and just how crazy.
And from a like psychology, sociology, whatever ology it is standpoint, I can see where you hear enough and then you're in it enough and you are in it. And I think all of it, everything we are experiencing now in 2025, everything they were going through then, it is all like, I've heard things, so now I'm afraid. So because I'm slightly more in power, I'm going to use that against you. And just like, and you see how that just like, and especially in certain people, the wrong people, it manifests in a way that like obviously benefited the Nazis, but like it gets out of control. And I can
fact check it. You don't have a way to fact check it. Like,
especially in the 40s, for sure.
Taught how to do that, and then you do a bad thing, and then you kind of have to double down. I can see that happening. Doesn't justify it.
It doesn't justify it. I understand how it happens and how that waterfalls, whatever you want to call it. I 100% understand it, but it is.
I think they did a decent job kind of showing some of the emotional, like, not to struggles, whatever, but they didn't just completely characterize him as strictly 100% evil. It was kind of like humanized him, Ray Fiennes' character, in a bit, like humanized him a little bit while not glorifying.
Yeah, because like they show him attracted to her because she's a person. She's like, but other people have told him that she is bad, but he's like, as a good like housewife, she would have fit that role. And in any other scenario, he might have been able to like court her in an appropriate way. But all of the things that society has told him has affected him. And he's like, oh, I can't do this. But like, I also kind of want to protect you. And it's just like, you see how that just spirals out of control, and it's wild.
But does not justify it.
It does not justify it. Ugh, horrible, gross.
Yes.
But keeping on the tone of Ray Fiennes, he is excellent in this movie. I didn't love Liam Neeson until towards the end. Like the last like 45 minutes is where I really felt like I was finally like, and maybe it was because like we've already talked about 1,000 times, I just like wasn't sure how Schindler was supposed to be played, that I just like, I wasn't really sure who he was, and I was so skeptical of him. But I feel like Ray Fiennes, he was playing the bad character and he plays it so well. You hate him so much. But then when there's the moments of like, oh, like I pardon you or whatever, you're like, oh, like maybe he's getting help. Like he played that so well.
He's a fantastic actor.
Amazing.
I will say I had a note. I just said young Voldemort, good at evil, not at German accent. I don't know if that's just how his accent is supposed to sound, or if he just had mastery, but it sounded kind of goofy at times, the German accent that Ray Fiennes was portraying.
I was trying not to buy into it too much, but
I do appreciate that it didn't go full in on speaking German in it and having subtitles the whole time.
Yes.
Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not, especially in a long movie like this. I appreciate that it was just English spoken with a German accent, but I didn't love his German accent. And I don't know if that's more reflection of me or him.
I think I was so caught up in how great he was at being horrible, just like his general, like what the character was supposed to be outside of his accent, that I just didn't care because he was a bad dude. Yeah. And I just can't imagine being like a normal, like good human actor that just always gets typecast as a horrible person, because that would be hard.
He wasn't that horrible in Grand Budapest Hotel.
True.
He wasn't amazing as an amazing human being in that, but like was not just stereotypically cast or typecast as an evil person.
Yes. All right. So my next note is this is cinematically beautiful. We've kind of already talked about that, but just like the lighting, everybody, well done. Anybody who worked on this, fantastic. And then my last note is the quote that Stern said at the end is, there will be generations because of what you did. And then the fact that they even brought in the note that they're in 1993 32 years ago, there were 6,000 descendants of the Schindler's List Jews. Like, beautiful.
That's crazy. Like, that's something that I kind of been thinking about as part of this is like, as they're mowing down all of these people and hunting them down and just, just systematically destroying lives, you just think of like, oh, that's one person, that's two people, that's 8 people. But really it spirals beyond that. Like they could have had kids, the kids have had kids. Like it's generations literally you're wiping out at that scale. And it's
horrendous.
Yeah.
I didn't look up enough words for bad, horrible, terrible in the thesaurus before this, but like all of them apply to this.
It's bad.
So that's the end of my notes. I like you said, I had one note last night because I was like, I just don't even know what you say about this.
I didn't want to take notes because I didn't want to really talk too much about this. We talked quite a bit at this point, but like it's a lot. My notes, like I said, started with the narrow field of view in the beginning, causing claustrophobia. Covered Liam Neeson. The whole like first, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes. I had a note that said more like Schindler's List, in that he's kind of like cheating people out of money, getting cheap labor, all this stuff. He was very much playing kind of like a con artist who was, just taking advantage of everyone and taking advantage of the situation. But I think that was deliberate to obviously show character growth and the change over time there.
But I also feel like that had to be accurate. Like, you're a white dude that like loves Jesus in 1940, and you're like, oh, I'll make some money. It's cheaper to have the Jews. Like, and it starts as that, but then they keep working for you and you keep knowing, and then you start to know them a little bit better. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, these people are going to be burned in an oven, or I could just have them work for me. Like, I think that is where I really started to turn on Liam Neeson as an actor. And I thought you were going to say when you turn on the Jew or turn on the Nazis, I was going to say, wow, okay. So first you were just like, let's take advantage. No. Because the whole first part of the movie, and I just like didn't like him, but I think it was just his character. And then you realize like, oh no, he like really grows and he changes. And I think that was probably very accurate of what happened in real life of like, oh, I'm just a person that's trying to get you a bunch of cheap labor and like do stuff. He didn't set out being like, I'm going to save thousands of Jews from being murdered. Like and
the risks and everything that goes along with that, obviously.
I think they showed it very well.
Yeah.
That character arc and that growth as a person was.
I'm sure all we heard at that point was just like, oh, these are bad people. We're getting rid of them. We're doing this. Like, they are bad people. And he just decided, I'm going to take advantage of all the situation. And then as he actually got to realize that they're actually humans and that this is an atrocity, I think. Yeah. Well played or it was a story well told.
Yes.
Next note was that I felt like this had a feel of an older movie. Yes. Even though the black and white, like there was something about the way that it was kind of told. Just there was something about it in the first. This is still taken in the first half.
If you told me this was shot in like the early 60s, I would have believed you.
Just some of the shots like in black and white at nighttime, kind of like talking some of those like inside interior shots just felt very much of that older.
It did have some strong film noir vibes. Going back
black and white and all
to season 2, but just I think too like just the lighting and the shadows, especially when he was down in the wine cellar with Miss Honey. We're really technical here. There were some scenes there where the lighting where I was like, ooh, this is like very film noir of just like dramatic, because it is. And the lighting, it was just, I think
got some good looking white guys talking in a very sophisticated way and all that sort of. Yeah, I can see that. My next note was that child labor would be so annoying. They showed these kids working in these factories, whatnot, doing all these things, and regardless of obviously all of the the problems with child labor in general, I can't imagine working and being like, oh yeah, I've got a 9-year-old next to me,
right?
Especially I'm working on some machinery, and like I'm trying to make sure that it doesn't chop off my hands, and there's an 8-year-old next to me,
and even there were some kids that were like 5. We have a 5-year-old.
I had enough difficulty getting people who were like in their 20s to like listen and follow directions and do things. I can't imagine like that people are like, oh yeah, kids, we'll go ahead and have them do these heavy machinery things or do anything serious like that and expect a bunch of good results.
Quality work.
Yeah.
Like if you're trying to get quality work, children are not should never be your first choice.
Like I know there's like obviously for good reason laws and rules around against child labor, but just I don't know why it is like, yeah, let's go ahead and just do this regardless of laws. Like why you're like, oh yeah, let's go ahead and just have kids.
And when there's masses of children, it's just mass chaos. Having been an elementary school teacher, I know
it's I don't understand it. My next note was the skull and crossbones on like the collar and the hat. Like,
I've definitely seen that before.
Like, regardless, the fact that obviously Nazis, if you are in a war and you're on the side of the people wearing the skull and crossbones,
you're going to be the bad guys every time.
Right?
Like every single time.
You can't just be like, oh yeah, we're doing this, but we're the good skull and cross. There's actually a sketch I want to watch after this from a British comedy show, that Michelin Web look that I've seen before, where they kind of coming to grips with the fact that like, are we the bad guys? Like wearing all this? Like, I just don't understand how you, assuming this isn't something that was caricatured for the movie storytelling, how you go and wear the skull and crossbones and you're like, oh yeah, but like we're the good guys in this.
I've definitely seen skull and crossbones in Nazi apparel in some capacity before. I don't know.
Like, was that retconned or was that actually like, did they actually do like, that's crazy. Not to mention all the things they've done, but like
that is a
after show
fact snack for you next time.
I will address that because that's crazy.
Yeah, I do agree though. You can't be a good guy with that.
My next note was the brass balls on this lad. So Schindler, especially like towards the second or the last third of the movie, where he's talking to all these high profile Nazis and he's going in, making demands, telling people off, like pushing people around. And I'm like, I get it. Like the war's probably slowly starting to turn. You've got a lot of money. You feel a lot of power. Any one of those dudes can pull out a gun and shoot you.
Right.
And what are you going to do?
The fact that he didn't get shot is shocking.
Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like he should have had some more like compromise against them. Like have some sort of like, hey, you can't shoot me because I will do these things. I don't know if he had enough armor there to be like, if I'm not going to get shot because this would happen and I'm going to, they wouldn't want to do that. Besides, he's just really rich. A lot of really rich people in like a bunch of like Batman movies die because they're just like, oh, I will pay you off. And they're like, cool, you're dead. But I just thought that it was very ballsy of him. Brass ballsy for sure. And my last note was fucking John Williams, man. Like that guy, like you're watching this movie and you're feeling things, you're being compelled. The scenes are hitting differently.
But are you really thinking about how you're feeling? Like you like know how you're feeling. But like
that's why he's such a genius. That you're not sitting there being like, oh yeah, this is like a Hans Zimmer soundtrack, like for Pirates of the Caribbean, those kind of things. You're like, oh, like that's I think we
Holiday.
I think we covered that Hans Zimmer actually didn't do Pirates, right? It was
we can factor.
Anyways, but those it's like you hear it's like it's so there's obvious tones to it that you feel like okay, I can tell who the composer is here to an extent. This John Williams is just so good at being like, I'm gonna make you feel shit, and you're not gonna know that I'm doing this because I'm just going to brainwash you and hypnotize you into feeling this way about things. Like
he is a true gift to this world, and God. I again another gift this podcast has given me is realizing how much John Williams is in everything.
Right,
and I mean, give that man all the awards, everything. I feel so many feels because of that man. And I didn't know it. And that is the quiet simplicity of what a composer is supposed to be.
Like there's been banger soundtracks that were obviously made from things of like just movies that were written for or songs that were written for a movies that just really did a good job of using songs of that time. But the original scores of something like a John Williams is just undefeated.
Right. And I feel like in especially the early 2000s, we got really into like, we're just going to have like songs, like it's not gonna be scored. It's like we're just gonna use like pop culture songs and like all this stuff. But like scored movies slap.
Yeah, it just guides you, and it's such a force multiplier on this story being told, even if it's not even that great of a story. Like you think back Home Alone, like without that score would not have survived.
It's like John Williams just takes your hand and he's like, "Come on, we're gonna go on a little ride together." Yep. And it's not like he's shouting at you; he's just holding your hand and just pulling you through the movie. You didn't know it. He is genius.
Yeah,
it is going to be a sad day.
But I'm so glad
when he cannot score movies
I feel bad because the man deserves to be fully retired, and he did retire. But apparently, he's next year making a movie with Steven Spielberg because he said he won't say no to him. And bless that man because
he's gifted, true gift.
Here on Culture Night Pod, we respect the great ones, and he's a great one.
100%. He is definitely like one of the top 3 Hall of Fames of people we could mention in this podcast.
So. That ends our after show segment.
Yes.
And we will see you all
in a couple of days when we have slept on it, done some research, come back with some more information, and...
But it'll be a couple minutes for you. A couple seconds. Bye.
right. Well, cheers again.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome back to the Slept on It after show.
Yes, we have slept on it. It has been just a couple of days since we watched Schindler's List, and we are back to look over the movie, look back at our scores, and share some behind-the-scenes fact snacks about how the movie was made, the history of it, all kinds of things. So to start with, does your rating change after sleeping on it? You rated it a 7.2, and I rated it an 8.3.
I think I can bump it up to a 7.4. I think overall rewatchability and things like that, not really gonna increase the score for that, but I think just overall the cultural significance and reading more about it and how like this was more of like a kind of designed to be a documentary than necessarily like just like a movie, and I think just really kind of visually show everyone just the horrors and atrocity of it. I think I'll increase it a little bit like that, but I'm not gonna give it much higher just because it's not something I'm gonna want to rewatch over and over, but I think it's something everyone should see once.
Yeah, it's definitely an important film. I rated it an 8.3. I will probably back it to an 8. Because, like you said, rewatchability, quotability, not so much. But I am very glad that I've seen it. I'm honestly, with my interest in World War II, I'm shocked it's taking me this long to see it. Maybe it's the 3 hour and 15-minute runtime that has been the barrier to entry for me. But it was definitely very interesting, very heartbreaking. I learned a lot.
It'll definitely be interesting to see how this compares to a movie coming later in this season. Kind of in the same aspect of World War II.
I feel like this season of all of them so far where we've done the like true theming, I'm most excited for, because I feel like it's about a certain historical event, but there's a lot of different perspectives on this one period of time. But also, like, as we get farther from it, like, how is it going to kind of shift and change? That I'm interested to see how this.
Yeah, I mean, kind of as like just an early season check-in is so far this season has really surprised me, given what I thought it was going to be of just like your typical World War II action fighting movie in the European front. That's not really what we've been watching so far.
Yeah. And I was just looking at our list today of what's coming up, and I'm getting very excited. So we're ready to power through and keep going.
Yes.
So before we get into our fact snacks, I do want to share really quickly, we drank the Tobin James Big Shot in the episode a couple of days ago, and we talked about how we both rated it. I think I rated it a 4.9. I think you rated it somewhere in the 3s. And we weren't sure how we rated it in the past. And so I went back and checked all of my notes, and we have had it 3 times in the past. And all of the ratings were 6.8 or higher. So this one, I don't know if we just didn't store it well, or maybe it was just this year. I will say I did not check the years of the other ones, but I assume they were not the same year as this one, because I'm pretty sure this was from our newest shipment. So I don't know if this was just a weird bottle, or
so
maybe
that's how you can tell that we are not sponsored.
Yes. And maybe this was just like a weird, like we were in different headspaces for this one, or we were like had taken a break before the other ones. I don't really remember the circumstances around the other ones, but this one was different than the others.
And Tobin James, if you're listening or watching, if you'd like to change our minds and send us another
2019 Big Shot
or any other year Big Shot to change our minds and make up for it, we will gladly accept and give our honest thoughts on that as well.
Email us at cultureandipod@gmail.com. So anyways, now it is time to get into our fact snacks. Do we want to go back and forth? How do you want to?
I'll let you start. I really only have kind of one thing.
Okay. I have most of my things are just like about the actual making of the film. So I was looking, and it's a lot about like who was playing what and everything, which was all super interesting. And the first one is that Steven Spielberg, who was the director of this movie, originally did not want to direct it because he'd already done Indiana Jones, a couple of other like big. E.T. was the one that was listed in the article, and he didn't think that he was good enough to direct this movie, and that he wasn't experienced enough, and that he even reached out to Roman Polanski to direct it because he was an actual Holocaust survivor, and he was even related to someone who was a Schindler Jew.
Oh wow!
And he turned it down because it was too personal, which respect,
I get
100%. But then he obviously ended up doing it. And then on that same note, later in the article I was reading, it was talking about how John Williams also didn't want to score the movie because he didn't think he was good enough. John Williams, the John Williams, didn't think he was good enough to score this movie.
That shows you everyone's got imposter syndrome.
But I also think that shows you how important they knew the telling of this story was. That they were like, oh, I couldn't possibly do this. And like Steven Spielberg and John Williams are like the MVPs of our time of movie making. That they didn't want to mess it up, and they did not. I don't think, but they put a lot of weight into that.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of obviously a lot of praise and acclaim for it in America. Okay. But I wonder if also some of their hesitation was just how sensitive the topic was and still is, like all over the world. I saw like in some cases in some other countries they kind of claimed this was like propaganda and still like it was very negatively I guess, reviewed. So I also wonder if it's kind of like, yes, we want to do it justice, we want to tell the story, but also kind of afraid of just like, if I'm someone who like Spielberg or John Williams who makes and distributes movies all over the world, would this kind of limit, would that basically say like I'll be banned, I'll be canceled in those other countries?
Yeah. It's kind of like Jennifer Lawrence said something recently that she doesn't want to talk about politics anymore because she doesn't want to close off people's minds to things that could change their mind just because they're like, oh, she votes this way, I don't vote that way. And I was like, that is very interesting. I hadn't thought about that, but bigger PR view right there. And then kind of along those same lines is because Spielberg knew this was super important movie, he agreed to not take any money for it because he felt like it would be blood money.
Wow.
Which I was like, and that was like blood money was in quotes. So it must have been his direct words.
To be fair, I think he's made plenty of money.
Oh yeah. He's not hurting for cash. And then any residuals or anything else that he got from the film, he donated to the USC Shoah Foundation that records and preserves history and testimonies from genocide survivors, which I was like, good for you. Love that. And then let's get into our actors a little bit. So Liam Neeson was not Spielberg's first choice. On the list of people that he was considering were Robert Duvall, Daniel Day-Lewis, Mel Gibson, Kevin Costner, Stellan Skarsgård, and Warren Beatty. And Harrison Ford was even considered. But Harrison Ford, again, along the same lines of like, this is an important movie, was like, my name is going to bring too much of this to this. Like, and this is too important to be like, oh, it's a Harrison Ford action movie, which it's not. So he turned it down, and so Spielberg went with Liam Neeson because he was lesser known at the time. And he said Oscar Schindler was a lot more rotund, but he was a similar height and build otherwise to Liam Neeson and kind of looked enough like him that they were like,
I think Stellan Skarsgård would have been a good alternate. Like
I saw that name on the list and I knew you'd love that.
Yeah, the other ones I feel like Harrison Ford would not necessarily have been the next choice.
Yeah, I agree. And then I'm most excited to share this one because I know you're going to find this one hilarious. So for Ray Fiennes, he was cast because of his, and I quote, evil sexuality, which I thought was hilarious, but like you totally get it when you hear it. And that's according to Steven Spielberg. And Ray Fiennes had to gain 28 pounds for the role. And would you like to know how he gained said 28 pounds?
Drinking.
What?
Beer.
Mostly Guinness.
There you go.
28 pounds by just drinking Guinness, which I thought was...
That's kind of tough because Guinness is not that calorie dense as
as much as you'd think.
As much as you think.
And then apparently they had one of the survivors.
Can I go with another one? I just thought of another fact snack, or is that a continuation of?
This is a continuation of this one. And then the last note on Ray Fiennes is there were visitors to the set of actual Holocaust survivors who were coming to like be a part of this and just see what was happening on set. And one of them saw him in character and started like visibly shaking and like couldn't control herself because she was so afraid because he looked so much like the character he was playing. Amon Goth or whatever his name was. So they cast very well, which I thought that was very wild.
When I was reading the Wikipedia article, I did find it interesting. Obviously, we've kind of stolen a little bit of this, but I'm going to claim that they stole some of this phrasing. Is that in 2004, the film was deemed culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant by the Library of Congress and selected for preservation in the National Film Registry. So
Culture Night Pod before Culture Night Pod.
I'm sure I probably got it from reading this on other movies before, but for our tagline of watch movies that are in some way culturally significant, I'm just going to go ahead and say that the Library of Congress was just some residuals or something like that for stealing it.
At trademark. That's very funny. Do you have anything else you want to share? Or you want me to share my other ones?
Share another one and then I can go with another one.
Okay. Okay. So my next fact snack is the girl in the red coat. Apparently the actress at the time, she was only 3 years old and Spielberg made her promise that she wouldn't watch it till she was 18 years old because it was like super depressing. She did break that promise and saw it when she was 11 and was apparently like very traumatized by it, obviously. Wow. And for a while she was like very much like, I wish I'd never played this role. And that went on to talk about how the girl was used to show the individuality of those who became victims of the Holocaust, because I feel like so often you're just like Holocaust survivors and or the Jewish people, like you think about it in like the bigger terms, but like you see this girl and then you see her later and like it just kind of shows that like she was a person and that I thought was just
because that can also
devastating, but beautifully done.
Right. It was so well done that the limited use of the color also really shows you like this one. You're like, oh, maybe she got away. You see them hiding and like by also not showing you her being caught and killed, whatever in your mind, like for that next hour, you're like, well, maybe she did hide. Maybe she did get away.
Or you forget about it. Like you're so caught up in the rest of I'd completely forgotten about her.
And then when you see her later, it's like such a
gut punch.
Right. And I think that was kind of also a turning point for for Schindler too, to like seeing that and be like, oh no, like these are actually humans, not just like unknown named whatever things out there.
Yeah. And we kind of talked about it in the after show about how, you know, like you're trying to figure out who Schindler is in the first part of the movie. And that very much, I think, is the turning point where then he's like, I've got to save these people. I've got to, all the money I've made, I have to like buy these people so that they can be saved. Right. And that's very much the turning point there.
And during the after show, we were talking about the use of the skull and crossbones on the Nazi uniforms. And you and I showed you the Are We the Baddies sketch, whatever, talking about kind of like, if you're walking around in skull and crossbones, like, are you actually under any pretense that you are on the right side, like on the good side here? So I was researching kind of the use of it, and it wasn't, most of the Nazis were not wearing it. It was reserved for the SS, and they had taken that symbol, they call it a Totenkopf, which is German for death's head, which skull and crossbones, same thing. They'd taken that from Prussian military units, and they'd been using that for a long time, centuries. And it was meant to signify like victory or death. Basically, we're going to be fighting for this cause until we die. We're not going to surrender. We're not going to change sides, whatever. So it was more of kind of like a, you know, we fully believe
we're committed
in this cause. But I just can't imagine, like, obviously they were committing atrocities. I don't think most of them were good people. I'm not afraid to say it. But I just can't imagine like anyone like trying to fool themselves into, like, if you're looking at two sides, know nothing about them, and you're like, the ones that are wearing the scary uniforms and the skull and crossbones, I'm going to go ahead and guess that they are not the good guys there.
Yeah, I agree. That would, it'd be tough to get over being like, oh, that's the side I choose.
Right. And maybe like a long time ago, they said they used it for centuries. Like it was more for warriors, just to kind of be like, you know, we have to basically consider this other army our enemies because they're going to kill us. There is no negotiation between soldiers and those kind of things. But in a more modern tense, like you kind of have to look at it with a little bit of self-reflection.
Yeah. Hindsight is 20/20, right? All right. And then my last fact snack is, so obviously working on this film was very depressing for the entire cast, the entire crew. Like it was really hard emotionally. They had, I keep getting flashes of scenes every time I think about how hard this must have been to film. So in order to help keep people from being horribly depressed while making it, he got Robin Williams to call and do 15-minute stand-up routines over the phone into like a speaker so that people would like not be so like brought down by how heavy this was. And also apparently at the time, Robin Williams was working on Aladdin. So he used these 15-minute routines to work on his material to be Genie from Aladdin. So if you ever thought, I wonder how Aladdin and Schindler's List go together, this is how.
There's the connection.
On the off chance you've ever wondered, I wonder if there's any connections here. This is it.
A little crossover. We're going to have a crossover episode later this season.
Yeah, just wait. We're going to bring Aladdin. Yeah, but I just thought that was super interesting because I'm like reading all this like about all the casting and just how hard it was, and then all of a sudden it was like Robin Williams and then Genie. And
I'm just imagining a bunch of people like working on some really deep, depressing stuff, all gathered around a speakerphone, listening to like some crappy audio of Robin Williams. Like I just can't imagine that working out.
But it also feels very like reminiscent of what like the 1940s were like in World War II, of like you all gather around a really shitty radio to get your news or to get information, and obviously this is more of like entertainment, but. As soon as you said that, I was like almost picturing scenes from the movie where they're all huddled around a radio, like hearing the news of things, because that was what the time was like, but not in the 1990s, that's for sure. So I think that wraps it up for all of my fact snacks. Do you have anything else to share?
I don't think so.
Any other thoughts? Ready to move on to next week?
Yeah, I think next week we're going to be more into a bit of an action, more of a stereotypical like World War II movie, a little bit of change of pace, because I don't know if I could keep going with just these really dark ones.
Not
that there's really a light part of World War II, but it'll be a little bit different tone, I guess, for next season.
Yeah. The emotional change of pace in this, from what I remember of our layout of the season, is very interesting, and I'm definitely excited to get to the end and look back and see all that we've learned, all the different sides of it. So
a lot of reflection.
Yes. But so thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Culture Night Pod. If you enjoyed this episode, if you could rate and review wherever you are listening to your podcast, or if you watched us on YouTube, if you could like this video, share it with somebody who also finds this movie interesting, and also subscribe to our channel, and you can ring the notification bell and get notified when we post new episodes. And if you want to follow us on Instagram at Culture Night Pod, or if you have any questions or comments or things you want to share with us about World War II or any of the movies we watched.
Anything we got wrong, anything we missed.
Yes, we call them fact snacks because we do not do a lot of research. That's very minimal. So if anything is not correct, please email us at culturenightpod@gmail.com, and we will catch you next week. Cheers. Bye.